And somewhere apparently in Australia, we're joined by Hilary. What the hell are you doing in Australia, Hilary?
Having
Have
a
you gone for a
holiday,
better
if you
life?
can have a holiday. Yeah. And in fact, we were wondering for a while, because up until yesterday, for the first 5 or 6 days, we didn't see any blue sky at all. But there we go,
Oh,
it's out there now.
there you go. Oh,
And
yes,
I'm
that's right. It has
wasting it
been
here.
raining. Yes, I saw the Warriors played last night in Sydney. It was belting down for most of the game. That's right. You're right. You're right. You're right. What part of Australia are you in? Sydney, Melbourne?
No, Gold Coast,
Ah, well,
Broadbeach.
that's not meant to be raining. You're right. Good point. Listen, have you caught up with this story with the posting of the Green MP Benjamin Doyle?
I just heard what you've been saying this morning. Can't win a trick, those Greens, can they? And I would suggest that they should do better at thinking about choosing their list. It's a sort of the poster boy for what's wrong with choosing on the basis of diversity. That's
Yes.
what looks like the Green List is. It's a very diverse list, and the more different you are to what you, I think, described earlier as ordinary people, the more attractive you are to be highly up the Green List, it would appear. And I do feel that the Green message gets lost. The more diversity you have, the more the actual environmental message gets lost, and it's possibly time for a change of name for them. They're not really Greens anymore, are they?
No, they're not. No,
They're
you're 100% right.
whatever you socialists, something diverse. Whatever word you
Listen,
want to use.
it
I don't know
struck me
what
over the
word
weekend. I'm
they would.
sure it struck other people as well too. I actually think that this is the modern reincarnation of Marxist-Leninists. They are clearly that in their economic policy and in their views as to social structures. And then they use identity politics, whether it's green, Maori, environmental, whatever, to
Palestinian.
yeah, to basically push that Marxist-Leninist line and all of those things. I don't think they're a new party. I just think they're an old party wearing, well, the same sort of clothes that any Marxist. If you think back to the 1960s and 70s, the campaign for nuclear disarmament was riddled with Marxist-Leninists. The peace movement, ditto. They were not just about, they were utilizing that particular cause to attack essentially the West and Western values in general. And I just think the Greens are part of that. And you're right, they've given up entirely on environmental stuff and gone in pursuit of identity politics.
Although they have, in some senses, still got the vestiges of the beautiful left. You know, the part of the left that they're espousing in the way of diversity would not fit comfortably with the people for the poor, which is what they sort of imagine they are. But the people for the poor who you would probably criticise on that they weren't certainly chosen in the way Trump's choosing his White House people, but the Greens have had some very good looking, as it were, particularly poster girls. And when you look at Trump, he's done exactly that. It could be a lineup of Miss America, the people who speak from the White House
Yeah, right.
podium on behalf of Trump.
Yeah.
And usually the left doesn't sort of disappear down that track. But if you're talking about peace beatniks, liberal from way back and things, they were beautiful too. Long-haired, beautiful young things that you might have looked at and thought, oh, whatever message they're peddling, I'll have some of it, thanks. Just saying.
All right. Listen, as you're talking, and as Australia at the moment, the lead story in both Stuff, the New Zealand Herald, Radio New Zealand, is the Greens saying that Peters is fanning the flames of hatred toward the rainbow community. So obviously the liberal media are in step with the Greens on this particular issue. How do you think this will actually play out, Bible Belt Bussy and the like?
I think it'll just be another step away from environmentalism. really. And it was, it's sort of the issue is the common sense, the discretion, the choices that you make when you're an MP. You do some good things and you do some bad things, but in the end, it's how you deal with the things you do. And the problem with the Greens, I think, is that the things they're doing are some defensible and some indefensible, but the way they're dealing with the issues is not defensible. There is never any either apology or
No.
I chose
Awareness.
my words poorly, even I misspoke.
Yeah.
There's never anything that suggests that what they do is anything, and even when it's something that you absolutely can't defend, it's because of other people picking on them.
Yeah. No,
which
no
put them in
question
that
about
mental health state to do.
Yeah.
So I think that they will be pilloried for the way they deal with this, and it won't be a useful way.
Just
My
on that,
guess.
can I say I read a column that you wrote last week, talking about identity politics and DEI policies in general. And it was, you wrote I thought, a brilliant piece, if I might say so publicly, Hilary, to
Thank
do
you.
with the sort of unintended consequences of DEI. And you used as an example, and figures I hadn't seen before, entrance to the Otago University Medical School, and you made, I thought, a credible comparison. You said, if you are if you're non-white, you needed a 90% average to get into Otago University Medical School, but under the admission policies of DEI, and particularly favouring Maori and I assume Pacifica candidates as well, you only needed 65% to get into Otago University's medical school. And such an amazing difference between the pass rates. Where did you get that information from? Did you get it under the Official Information Act or something?
No, it's if you knew to look for it, you can Google it. You can. I googled bits and pieces, but it came out partly as, and it just dropped like a stone. It was in a media article early on, but if you Google sort of criteria for Otago Medical School or affirmative action, Maori, whatever, and it's not just Maori, it's the affirmative action, as we would have used to call it, policies include rural, Maori, people in the bottom, what were deciles, you know better what they're called now, and refugees. So it's people who look like you looked, however many years ago, that absolutely needs over 90% to get into med school now. So we've got more women than men at med school. So we've got, I think it's 60-40 close to now, of women to men. And my guess is that they would also be more likely to be working part-time than their male counterparts, but men might be catching up on that desire not to work full-time. So we need to train more of them, and what we're training more of is over 20% Maori, with the spurious, I think, reason that they have been either colonised or they need a hand up. And actually, it isn't the suppressed Maori who are at med school. It's the Shane Jones went to St Stephen's Maori, by the look of things, because it hasn't altered a jot the people from the bottom decile.
No, and that's the issue,
So
isn't it? The whole point
middle
of
class
this,
Maori.
yeah, and that's the whole point of those racist policies that were pursued to get into med school, was that, well, this is positive discrimination, really. The more Maori we get in to become doctors, those Maoris will go back into the Maori community. They'll live into those underprivileged areas, and they will deliver outstanding medical care to those underprivileged people. But in actual fact, nobody's ever asked the question, certainly not at Otago University Med School, where do you go? Where do you live? Where do you practice medicine after you've
Yes.
graduated? And it's
And
extraordinary that
if,
there's never any of that research completed.
considering that's the point of it, I say,
Correct,
but you
exactly.
don't want to
Yeah,
know later whether you've had the outcome,
yeah,
which says back to what you were talking earlier about local bodies and things too. You pose the question by saying, we will do this and such will happen, and then you never go and look if that's happening, if your
correct.
guess was right.
Yeah,
Actually, the GPs Council says that 4% or something of GPs in New Zealand identify as Maori. And that might be just that these over 20% haven't come through to replace the Peters and Alistair and Davids that are all retiring. Or it may be that they're all very sensibly going to Sydney or somewhere.
yes, well, that's the issue, isn't it?
Because it turns out they can.
Yeah, yeah. Now, the other thing I've also noticed is the number of people, particularly in my neck of the woods here in central Otago, go to decile 10 schools, who have discovered a strain of Maori heritage or lineage in their family and utilised that and exploited it for their own personal gain. I don't blame them for doing that. I mean, the system was designed almost to be corrupted by it. But they are no more Maori than you and I. They do not live in a Maori lifestyle, but because, their grandmother was, ta-da, I can now get access, whether it's into particular specialist schools or, more importantly, to tertiary scholarships and funding. And I have to say, that strikes me as odd too.